What's
Right.
up, beautiful people? We are live. I'm Mike James of PNZ Life Coaching, and I serve on a board for an amazing organization, Youth Talk United. And we are coming tonight to do a live discussion. A live
Mhm.
discussion just to reflect some things that we've been talking about with the youth. And I have an awesome person with me tonight
Woo.
to do this live discussion. This is presented by Youth Talk. And I'm going to let none other than Erica Perry introduce herself and the organization and tell us about what's going on, what we're doing tonight.
Oh, yes. First, thank you so much, Mike. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to partner with you and be on this live tonight. But yes, I'm Erica Perry, founder and director of Youth Talk United. Originally, we was named Girls Talk United, but through the great job that we're doing within the community, a lot of parents reached out to us and was like, hey, I have a lot of boys. My girls are enjoying it. Their guys are asking about it. So let's do something for the boys. And so we got a small group together and started working with the boys. So we're excited about that. And they're just doing an awesome job as they became part of the program. So with us being said, we're going to continue to move out throughout the city. We are in some schools. So please, if anyone would like, we do provide peer group mentoring to youth. And that's from also with the boys 10 to 18. And then our girls are actually 13 and older. But we do peer to peer, so it make us a little different because we group the kids together based first on their age range, and it's designed to empower, educate, and encourage the youth. And we do that through life skills, community service, which is a must for us, and also social skills. But it's all about allowing them to talk and express themselves about everyday social issues that they're experiencing.
Awesome. Yeah, and this is one of those things where
Mhm.
with my mission is, share my light, love, and positivity. And a huge passion for me is working with the youth. So it's been a
Yes.
pleasure to serve on the board for Youth Talk and just to see where we're headed and just a
Awesome.
short time. So I'm excited.
Hmm.
I'm excited about what we're doing tonight as well. Just
Yes.
working with the youth and giving a voice. That's
Hmm.
what we're here for, to give a voice to the youth and some of the things
Yes.
that we've been discussing. So Erica, I'll let you start it off. What are we
Okay.
talking about tonight?
Sure, yes. With our live discussion, you guys may see me get a lot of emotions and movement in it. But with a live discussion, we had the pleasure of having our boys and girls get together and just express their feelings about everything that's going on within the community, the society, and also COVID-19. We was having a great job of meeting with our youth, so we're allowing them to express and talk about everything. And as everything, crashed, we could not meet. So it took a lot away from our kids. And one of the aspects of the program, we talk about mental health and how it affect our kids. I know as adults, we don't think sometimes it affect them a lot, but we've noticed throughout our group that it really, really affects them. And we always tell them, you matter, youth matter, they're our future. So we really want to allow them to express themselves and allow them to talk. So in midst of the meetings, we allow them to just elaborate, to feel anger, to feel mad, to feel however they felt at that time. And it was just so joyful to allow the kids to do that. And their feedback of best being so excited that someone heard their voice. And that's what we want to do here is make sure people's voices are heard. So in the midst of that, we had several questions that me and Mike will both elaborate on that we asked the kids. The kids told us, as well as you guys, if you guys come in or talk, please do come in. We would love to hear your feedback on it. But this was solely for the kids. They got this together. They thought about these thoughts and ideas. So it was nothing that we prompt them, but we just talked with them.
Yeah, definitely. And that's, I really love that. And just even the whole addition of the boys as well, the young men, it's been awesome. And just like you were saying, the reflection of, look, we allow the youth to fully voice their opinions and how they feel.
Yes.
And that's one thing when we're working with the young men is, don't hold back. Whatever you have to say,
Hmm.
this is where you have that opportunity. And it's not a, hey, well, don't say it like that or don't do it like that.
Yeah,
It's a place where they can actually express how they're feeling,
definitely.
throughout across the board. So, one of the things here lately that we've been talking a lot about is everything going on, right? And it's so
Right.
much going on.
Hmm.
So, we've had, on both sides with the girls and the boys, multiple. just discussions, just to see,
Yes.
to give
Awesome discussions.
breath and air to everything that's
Mhm,
going on and how they're feeling about it.
mhm,
So that's one of the things we wanted to do, is elaborate on, their questions and how they answered some of those,
mhm.
and also just to give feedback, as Erica said. Feel free to comment on the video if you have feedback, and then there will be a portion where we will have space for the youth to be able to click on a link and join in on the discussion, like in the
Yes.
video as well. So give us feedback, and let us
Mhm.
know. I do see a few eyeballs in here, so thank you for everybody who's tuning in and joining in. So, Erica, we can jump into the questions. So some of the questions
Yes,
that we have
definitely.
been
And for
asking the
our
youth.
youth or any board members, if you guys jump in and your guys are down, like Mike said, you see a lot of eyeballs, just hit your name. If not, youth talk, just so we can know that our family is here and let other people know that we are together, because we're always looking for more people to join the organization. So please post your name. If not, just youth talk would be great. But jumping into, we have the questions. So with me looking at the questions, that was one of the things that we talked with our kids was, how do they feel about everything that's going on, and should they express themselves in some of the ways that the youth are expressing themselves? So in instance, some of my kids talk about that they felt that it was okay, that their youth and their peers are actually rioting, they're looting, they're stealing, they're taking things. And then we had some kids that said no, that shouldn't be so, but we do understand why we're protesting and why we're doing it. And once again, as we talk, we allow them to feel free without judgmental, because that's what we want them to do. So with that question being said, it was a big question, because they really felt like a lot of them that their peers are doing well. They say their peers are doing great. We had feedback of saying from some of the young girls that, hey, our ancestors and our grandparents was calm for so long, so now it's time for us to take it to another notch or another level. And if that includes stealing, fighting, or taking, at least we're being heard. So, with that being said, we're going over to that aspect of parents and adults, why mentoring is needed, why groups like this is needed. Not saying that their opinion doesn't matter, but their thought frame is, we haven't been heard as youth. Our grandparents and our parents been what have not been heard. So why should we be quiet? So we had a lot of vivid points of saying that they felt that it was okay with everything that's going on.
Yeah, and that was kind of some of the feedback too when discussing with the boys in the boys group. It was interesting. One of the last discussions that we had, one of the young men, he made a point, and I was, it was like, wow.
Hmm.
He said that these things that we see happening had to happen,
Yeah.
and it's one of the things where it's almost needed, because again, as you mentioned and what you talked about, is now
Mhm.
people are paying attention, our voice is being heard.
Yes.
Now, of course, we did have that reflection of some of the young men saying they don't like to see what's going on with the looting and things like that, but
Right.
at the same time, it's the cause, not
Hmm.
looking at the effects so much, but the cause. And a lot of things that's going on in the community hadn't been heard, and so what you're seeing is that built up pressure. Um,
Definitely.
but that was definitely one of the reflections that was in our last discussion. That was,
Hmm.
I was like, that's interesting. He said, it has to happen. And so
Yes.
that is the voice of the youth. We're
Hmm.
seeing things change so much rapidly in the time we're in. People have always said that the youth, the next generation, they hold the solution, but now the youth are really taking that into full effect and taking that responsibility. So that's one of the ways they're expressing themselves.
Right.
They are
Definitely.
out here and they want their voice to
Hmm.
be heard. So I think for me that's commendable, because it's like,
Hmm.
now, okay, we want to step up to the plate. And so
Definitely.
that's a whole different side of things, where people,
Hmm.
they may think they know what the youth are saying, but you don't know until you talk to them, or
Correct.
what the youth are
Hmm.
feeling. so so
Hmm.
yeah, that's some of the feedback that we were getting too, with everything that's going on.
Okay. And also, as you mentioned that, I know some of them in reflection of the ones that said no, like they said that the actually taking things and stealing is something that they should not do as well. So with that feedback on the side, we understand those individuals too, because we did want to be mindful and ask them about, okay, we're taking stuff, but we're taking stuff from our communities. We're
Hmm.
taking stuff from where we build things. But however, on that reflection, we had some kids to say, hey, at the end of the day, this was never our land. This was never our country.
Mm.
So we're not taken away because it was never ours. So if we're going to a store and vandalize it, even though it may be of the same color, it's not ours. So their expression is, how can we continue to go into a country that is not ours, but you guys expect us to be fair? You guys expect us to go along with everything you're saying. And that goes into that fear of knowing that or feeling that, hey, my mom haven't had anything, or I believe my parents haven't had anything. So why should I try to work for mine? I should just go out there and get it, even if it includes taking. So that was a big expression. And when we talked about, well, do not actually detour or take away from your community.
Yeah. And that, very similar to one of the other things that with that same response that I was talking about earlier, he was just saying that it's taken too long for people to get it,
Yeah.
to get it and to understand. And he said, although, the looting and different things may be bad, this is what he said, our youth now. And so a lot of times we think that the youth are not paying attention. He said,
Right.
at the same time, genocide, slavery, and
Hmm.
all the things that has went on has been far worse. And
Right.
so again, the youth are paying attention. They see, they know, and they definitely have their opinions on things. And so
Definitely.
it's one of those things where it's more so what is the proper solution. If we're
Yes.
not being heard when we're
Hmm.
peaceful, then you tell us not to do it. There is no right way. There's no right way to
Right.
respond or to make your voice heard. So that's one of the things where
Hmm.
it's been a lot of feedback on that front of,
Okay.
okay, hey, this, I don't agree with everything, but it has to happen.
It's something
It's
that's
something that,
working.
yeah,
Right.
it's been boiling over, and it has to happen. So
And
yeah.
that goes to, like you said, of what or how they should feel. And that would lead into another one of our questions was, do they have to be on the front line, to present themselves with everything going on? How should they feel about that? If things are not going, and some of them did respond and say, no, I don't have to be on the front line, but I still want to do some things. Meaning that I don't have to be out there with my peers, knocking stuff down and taking stuff, but I do need to be doing something. But what is that they need to be doing? And then that goes to the aspect of a lot of them saying, where keep enlightening ourselves on social media, keep reading things. And then that's when we went to talk to them about, those are great things to do, but outside of social media, what knowledge are you bringing to yourself? Because
Yeah.
social media can have so many fiction parts of it. So where do we come and we actually read up and become knowledgeable about the things that we're doing? And that's what some of the young ladies too was saying. Well, they read books, they look at different things that are going on in the news. So you want to spread that knowledge farther than just social media to understand. Because we went to ask them, hey, what do you guys think about the monument? And everybody was, we wanted it down. We wanted it down. It should be down. Okay, but why is it up there? Why is it here?
Hmm.
And unfortunately, we had none of our kids that was able to say why. All they know was everything that was going on within the city, and people tore it down. And it was majority of people that looked at like us, so that's why they tore it down. So I'm going to go along with that. But however, we reframed that and thinking, but you have to be able to be knowledgeable yourself too. You got to know your history. If you
Hmm.
don't know your history, then you don't know who you are. So you got to be able to elaborate to people why you feel that way. So expressing yourself about that, you need to know, hey, what is going on? Why is
Right.
this going on? And then from there, we got to the understanding of, okay, yes, we need to know more. We need to knowledge ourselves. But also our kids, included and thought and said too, well, hey, we need some of our leaders, our teachers, our mentors to teach us more about our city. Because when we open our history books, only thing we see is things that's been there that we're not told that's false.
Yeah.
So why can't we have things about downtown in our history books, since this is our city? Why
Right.
can't we have stuff about other cities to be able to help us be knowledgeable about these things, so we don't feel with our peers that it's okay to go out there and destroy things that we do not know about?
Hmm.
So that was
Yeah.
a big expression of, we need to know our history as well.
Right. And I'm glad that you said that, because that was one of the things too that we discussed. It's like, for one, we posed a question. We were just talking in discussion in this last
Hmm.
time, and we just posed a question. How many are y'all still learning? Are y'all still learning that Christopher Columbus discovered America? And the
Right.
answer was yes.
Hmm.
So that goes back to it. It's you know you it's almost got to be a community effort
Yes,
to
definitely.
make sure that the young generation, they're learning history, and not a revisionist history, or not history of
Hmm.
just someone who wants you to get a certain thing. Because a lot of times, as I feel, with our education system, it is more indoctrination than true education. It's what we
Hmm.
want you to think. And so that was one of the things we talked about too. It's
Definitely.
like,
Good.
man, we're still learning some
Hmm.
horrible stuff.
Yeah,
And again, like you said, it's one of those things where, look, we don't know a lot of our history because no one's telling us. We're
definitely.
not getting it at school, we're not getting it at church. A lot of times we're not getting it at home. So what do we do? And so that's where, again,
Hmm.
like you said, with organizations, with mentoring, with different things, that's where I think we have to bridge that gap and pick up that mantle to make sure that our youth at least are getting real history and stuff that they don't normally know. We know when February comes around, they learn about the usual suspects, the same
Right.
5 to 10 characters in these same stories, but they
Hmm.
don't know a lot of things. There are people who are still learning about the Tulsa race riots. There are people who are still learning
Definitely.
about, what happened with the Philadelphia Move organization. So it's things that you
So
throw out there, and
much
it's like,
more.
wait,
Yeah.
what? So I think that's huge too, and that's the thing that I think
Mhm.
is left up to the adults, that we
Yes.
have to step in and say, hey, look, this is some of the things that maybe you don't know, and that's why I love what we're doing with the youth. And it's so
Hmm.
interesting that because of COVID-19 and everything going on, now we're doing these videos and we're able to talk more.
Right.
we're able to we're able to now talk about some different things now, because a lot of times, of course, when we get together in person, we want to have fun, but it's a little bit
Definitely.
different. It's a different feel when
Yes.
you're not there. So people are opening up more. So yeah, that's definitely a big key. It's
Mhm.
like what are the youth learning, on a day-to-day basis.
Hmm. And definitely, like you said, with now with the Zoom, because we've been doing a lot with our youth. Even though some of them like to talk, is still that passionate. When you're in front of people, you may not feel as comfortable. So we have been able to do this dialogue with them to inform these parents why it's needed. A lot of our parents don't have the opportunity to sit down and talk to their kids. But with us doing this, we're able to talk to them more. And some of our kids, I know, especially as we speak to some of the girls on our live feed, oh my God, the conversation, the power in their voice, their
Hmm.
tone, and their enthusiasm about what they want to change is just unreal. I'm like, whoa. But they feel that express that, hey, I'm here. We're already quarantined in. Let me get everything out. Let me express that, because that's another one of the biggest things as I go back to the mental health part, as we focus on that too with our youth. A lot of our kids went to that aspect of depression during quarantine.
Hmm.
A lot of them was wondering what's next, especially with the seniors that we have. Those babies was furious of, man, I waited all my life for this time. Mom has spent money, dad has spent money. I've kept my grades up, and now I'm at this point. And now we got everything going on now with everything in the community. So
Right.
now we're impacted by so much more. So now we give them that opportunity within this group and within this organization for the boys and the girls to just elaborate and express all those things and feel free to do it, because once again, their voices are not being heard. And with their voices not being heard, what we get from them is just the anger, the tone. We asked a couple of the kids, how should you feel? And we allowed them to say, a lot of them said they're angry, they're mad, they're upset, they're tired.
Hmm.
Why should we be going through this? Our parents went through it, our grandparents went through it. One particular girl said, hey, it's 2020. Why should we bleed the same blood? Why should we still be passionate about some things that are so harsh and hurtful to other people? So that just had them the opportunity to say, hey, what more can we go through?
Right.
What more can we face at this time?
Yeah, exactly. And with some of the young men too, in one of the first discussions we had, it was one of those things where, especially with our youth, even as adults sometimes, but especially with our youth, it's everything they're going to get or take in is going to be what they see on TV or the
Mm-hmm.
news or what they hear their parents or adults talk about, because some of the youth, some of the young men were saying how it's not affecting them personally, or in their
Mm-hmm.
location. Like we had a discussion when everything was going on in Birmingham and downtown. It was like, okay, well, it's not where I am, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure how to feel about it, or I don't
Mm-hmm.
have a strong opinion on it. But it's one of those things where that's where we come in as the adults, and we say, well, the thing is, we want to talk about these issues because we don't want it to happen, and then you didn't expect it, or now you don't know how to deal with
Mm-hmm.
it because you thought it could never happen to you, right? It's like,
Right.
just because I'm not in that locale or that location and I don't feel it, I'm not right in it, then it
Doesn't
can't
mean
happen
that's
to
not
me,
happening.
right?
Right.
And so that's one of the things too that we've made sure we express with the young men, with the boys, that it's like, okay, we still need to talk about these things and
Mm-hmm.
actually have a voice to how it makes you feel. Like,
Right.
what is that, what are those emotions that go with that? Because here we are,
Mm-hmm.
we're in a pandemic that is still raging, and even that, like
Definitely.
you said, you're indoors, you're not getting as much exposure as you normally would. It's
Mm-hmm.
summertime, people are used to
Definitely.
being out and about right now. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the constant questions that we get every time we do a Zoom meeting or hangout. It's
Are we
like,
going to meet?
yeah, when we meet again,
We,
right?
we, we, we ready to get out.
Right, with the boys and the girls. So when we gonna meet? We get the competitive juices flowing of, hey, we ready to play basketball, or lift
Mm-hmm.
weights, flag football. But again, it's one of those things where we want to make sure that that valve or that knob of release is always there, because any of that pressure is built up. Then again, like you said, it goes back to, now you're going to hear the anger of the youth. You're going to hear all
Definitely.
of that you think it's bad, so to speak. And here's the thing, as adults, a lot of times it's so, I'm not far removed from it, right? I still see myself as 18. I'm not, but anyway.
Definitely.
But we, a lot of times, we think, oh well, I wasn't like that when I was a teenager, or I wouldn't have done that, I would have did
Mm-hmm.
something
Mm-hmm.
different. But it's like, no, we have to, it's almost,
Right.
we have to put ourselves in the shoes of the youth and say, okay, what was I thinking at that age? How was I feeling at 12, 14,
Definitely.
20? So that's one of the bigger things too, is making sure that we always look back at
Mm-hmm.
how we were at that time. And I think it helps us relate more to the youth and everything that's
Yes.
going on with them.
And definitely valuing that opinion and valuing our kids, because as you said, with the anger and they lash out, that was one of the things too that our kids were saying, that they was very angry because some of their parents during this time frame. We know we have some great parents out there, but we know some of our kids was like, my mom or dad haven't even asked me how I felt. We see it on social media, we may see it run across the news, but the anger is no one is talking to me about it.
Hmm.
When is the adult is going to sit down to me and talk to me about it? One of my girls expressed, hey, I've been mad and angry and upset about it. Yeah, you're mad and angry and upset about it, but it also leads you to lash out at home. And mom may think, hey, you're young, you have nothing to do,
Hmm.
just enjoy life, but not understanding the impact and pressure that they still see on social media too. So lead to that anger and lead to them lashing out at home as well, because no one has sat down and talked to me. I have people in my household the same color as me. I hear them expressing that grandma and mom went through this and it's not right. But who's going to sit down and talk to me?
Hmm. Right.
And in the midst of having that, we spoke with one of our young ladies too, that was kind of in the middle of both sides. So it really expressed her. And, she talked deeper about it, even though it was hard with that anger, that she sits in the middle. She has a mom that wears blue, and she's also an African American kid and has an African
Hmm.
American dad. So her thoughts and her expression is she want people to understand more how it hurts and affect her when she hear people talk about police, when she hear people say negative things. Because as we know, yes, all polices are not bad. All people of color is not angry. They're not mad. They don't hurt. They don't steal. All Caucasians are not bad. Those are things that kids need to know. But
Hmm.
she's in the mix where she has a mom that she says she wants to come home every night, but she also see the things on social media that says those negative things about polices. that are saying that, hey, we don't care about police, when she know her mom is going out there and doing something great for the community, but she's also faced with the backslash of, I have to be in the middle because I see what police are doing to our community and our society, so it's hurting me. But I still have had that talk yet with mom to express myself, or with dad to express myself and say, this is how I feel. Because especially as a youth, you're going to school, everybody know your parent, everybody
Yeah.
seen your mom or seen your dad out. And now you're kind of in a standstill place of walking on eggshells when you're around certain people and certain topics because you don't want to seem out of pocket. And it constantly be anger and you're mad. And now you're constantly facing social media and TV and saying, when would this stop? How can this stop?
Yeah.
So,
And it's so interesting, just going back to like what the kids are seeing and everything. Miss Sharon put in the comments that they haven't been heard so much until now. They have watched and heard so much, they were acting like the song back in the day, express yourselves. And that's one of the
yes.
things, they're finding a way to express themselves. And I feel like it's almost one of those things where it's just society, as you age, it's the more and more corruption or negative that is brought into your mind. One of our youngest boys that was on one of our last discussions, he said, I just want everybody to get along. I just
Yes.
want us to come together, and it's just that pure thought of, it's a shame that we even have to have these kind of talks or these discussions with
Mm-hmm.
the police killings, with everything going on, and society day to day, right? And in the Black community across the board, and you hear that coming from one of the youngest, like, I just want
Right.
everybody to stop fighting. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's one of those things where it seems that, if we can just, almost for adults and everybody, if you can reach back to that child like you, if you can
Mm-hmm.
reach back to that early child voice or that child
Right.
energy that you have, so many things would be different, because we know
Mm-hmm.
children, man, they literally don't discriminate against anyone. They'll play with anyone, speak to anyone, and you just
Mm-hmm.
maybe see the parents, oh no, because think about it. You think about it, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but who's the first person to tell a child not to talk to everyone,
Right.
or
The
not
parents.
to talk to strangers, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
the parents. So that's one of the big things too, is having these discussions with the youth. So from,
Mm-hmm.
if the youth were speaking to us, it would be to the parents: talk to your children, literally talk to them, because a lot of
Yes.
times too, I think with parents, they have so much going on already, right? They're doing
Mm-hmm.
stuff, they're working, they're dealing with this from their mental aspect. Being an adult, they're going to work, they have to deal with this no matter what,
Yes.
and deal with their children going through these things. But at the
Right.
same time, a lot of times it's, I know what's going on with my child. No, you don't.
No,
Because the
they have a
things that
lot going
we hear,
on.
yes, the things that we
Mm-hmm.
hear in these groups. And this is another thing, Erica, if you think about this, like if we go back to when we were their age, we
What did we do
had,
and say?
but here's the thing, on top of that though, the internet was not huge. We had outside, right? We had
Yes.
outside in TV, but now think about it. They have every device, every social media outlet.
Everything.
They have ones that you haven't even heard of. I guarantee you, if there's a social media platform that's coming on the scene, some of you know about it already. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things.
Definitely.
Now they have so much to deal with. It's so different, because now I have the world in the palm of my hands, at all times, 24/7, right here.
Because all kids have them.
Yes, and they're not playing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just Snake anymore and monotone, monotone ringtones. They
No.
Everything is here. These are computers, so I think it's so important to be able to discuss. And yeah, Trinity, that's a good one. She said, I think many parents don't really know how to address these issues. They're also mad, but don't want to add fuel to the fire for their impressionable child. Yeah,
Definitely.
and that's I think that's one of those things too. That's true. But
Mm-hmm.
the way I look at it, even from a coach's approach, is it's all about release. Whether you're writing, whether you're talking, getting it out, because that pressure, I say it all the time, that saying, pressure busts a pipe. And
Mm-hmm.
so that pressure being built up now, it's no peace in the house because the parents upset at what is going on. The kids are upset, and now it's not even genuine communication or conversation, right?
Right.
It's out of frustration or anger. Oh, I got to
Hmm.
do this. And so I really think one of the things is to do it. When we talk about business or school or
Hmm.
success, anything else in life, we'll say, hey, you just got to do it. You got to step out on faith. You got to start,
Right.
put one foot in front. But in this right here, this communication and talking about stuff, it seems like it's so hard to do, but I think it's so needed. And if you look at society right now with a lot of the changes that's coming about, it's because everybody's talking about the same thing. And so,
Definitely.
when have we ever seen corporations across the board making statements about Black lives?
Big,
So
yes,
we
everywhere.
have to talk. We have to
Mhm.
talk about
And like you said, definitely the talking about it now before it gets to where it's not genuine, but kids understand and know. That is discussions that we've asked our kids. So, how do you feel when your parents talk about certain things? Whether they're angry or they're mad or they're upset when I do ask them questions or when I do talk to them. But as Dr. Trinity said, they really don't know how to express themselves. So, when they do express those things in the baggage they may have been holding on, they're not genuine with their kids. And youth, they thrive off emotions.
it.
So they ask you a question, and now you come to them, they feel like you have an attitude. Whatever conversation they may have had is not going out the ear. And now they're going to social media to look for that input of, well, when I did talk to my parents or whoever my caregiver was, they had an attitude or they didn't really want to sit down and talk, or they didn't value my opinion. They didn't believe I knew the facts. They
Hmm.
felt I was too young, so they didn't want to explain to it. But the genuineness of talking with your kids, definitely for parents that have kids that goes to schools with several different cultures, several different races, really need to talk to their kids. We got kids that go to school at a diverse school, and literally, they spoke about how hard it is. They spoke about how they saw a lot of their peers that they thought was friends throughout this time frame. And they also spoke about, we not want to just say discard of saying bad friends, but they also found some friends that actually viewed and are trying to understand what they're going through. But the main thing is, some of these kids are going to diverse schools. Parents have yet to talk to them. So they're going into school in the morning time when they do start back, or they're on social media with some of these friends and they're angry and mad off of kids that was just taught things.
Hmm.
And now it's time for you to teach them too, or talk to them about this going to happen. This may happen. Understand those things. And now you have a social media flu that is going on with the youth talking about everything and every other personality or every other race, due to the fact that they don't know exactly what's going on and haven't been explained to them.
Hmm.
And now a lot of their close friends, they do not want to be close friends with. Or they don't want certain people on their social media. But it may be those same kids that was like, hey, I'm just doing the same thing mom, granddaddy, and grandparents did. So that genuine talk to them, allow them to express themselves. Why you feel this way. It's okay to allow a kid to express themselves. As we tell our girls, as long as you do it in a respectful way, express
Hmm.
yourself.
Right, definitely. And going back to something you said about the schools, and interestingly enough, some of our youth, some of the boys, they said that we posed a question: have you ever experienced anything dealing with racism or anything that you deem as racist? And interestingly enough, we had more than one young man that say that, hey, I haven't. And some of our youth are there, they're at diverse schools, right? Some of our youth express they have a lot of white friends and they haven't
Mhm.
experienced anything like that. And it's one of those things where, for me and Mr. Nigel, it was like, good. We hope you don't, we hope you don't ever
Yes.
experience that. And so that's one of the things too. It's one thing you mentioned with some of the youth is with the youth, a young mind, they're thinking pure, right? It's the purest form, right? So
Hmm.
they're not seeing these things if they've never experienced it or never felt it personally. So when it
Definitely.
happens, that's when it's so hard, right? It's so
Hmm.
hard. And then especially if you have gone to, or if you try to go to an adult and they're not hearing you, or they take the side of someone else, And so that's
Right.
one of the things too, I think, why it is important too to have these discussions at home. And of course, we do it with the youth, because a lot of times you never know. It could be, it can be, hey, I've never experienced that today, and next week,
It
tomorrow it could
comes.
be, hey,
Yeah.
I had an incident. Yeah, I had an experience today that was horrible, and I need to talk about it. And so that's the importance of being there.
Hmm.
Um, we hope that anything like that, that they don't have to experience these negative experiences, but at the same time, if it ever happens, we want to make sure that we're there to, to
Hmm.
be that ear and hear what's going on with the youth.
Definitely, definitely. As you said about that, of just being open to our youth, and allow them to do that. We always give them that open opportunity just to express to themselves. So please, if we have any parents, chime in. We would love for you guys to chime in right now, because we try to give you guys as much information based on what our kids are saying. Definitely want to hear from some of the parents, probably giving some of our kids on this feed why you guys may not talk to them. I know we had some people post, but just giving us feedback too for the parents, why you do not talk to your kids.
Yeah.
What may be some of the reasons why? And that will help us as an organization to continue to reach and communicate with our kids and you guys. For the ones that know, we do have a parent component of the program too. So we do meet with the parents as well. But just hearing that feedback too from parents. My kids ask that a lot, why our parents don't. And it's not much we can say that we know too. Growing up, there was things that we didn't do, that we did not want to talk to our parents about. But as an adult, we see now the importance of it. So the kids definitely want to hear more of that feedback of the why.
Right.
That why is a huge thing for our youth.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the other questions too that, and I'll say from the young men first answering it. One of the questions that was out there is the fear, like, what do you
Hmm.
fear? And
Yeah.
honestly, here's the thing. I know, speaking from being a man who was once a young man and a boy, that it's a different level of, what's the word? It's a different level of arrogance with being
Mm,
a young black boy, and you're growing up, right? Because everything is so competitive, right? So
yes.
that's another thing, right? It's what's instilled in us. Don't be fearful, stop
Right.
crying. What you crying about? Be hard, man up, all this stuff, right? And so
Hmm.
what happens a lot of times in terms of fear is it's harder to break through to our young men, because it's no
Hmm.
fear, right? And so that was some
Definitely.
of the voices, that was some of the stuff that came out, like, well,
Hmm.
that's not going to happen to me, or I ain't worried about it, even
Definitely.
at I
Definitely.
and when I hear that, I look back and I think, man, I kind of felt the same way, but I was 12,
Yeah.
13, 14,
Yeah.
15, like clueless at
Hmm.
what was out there, what's
Yes.
surrounding me on a day-to-day basis. So a lot of times with boys and young men, it's one of those things where it's that fearlessness,
Hmm.
um, until something happens, and
Yes.
so yeah, that's been one of the things. So I'm interested too in, like, what was some of the feedback with the young ladies on like
Oh
fear.
yes. I love that you brought that up, because that was one of ours too. That we had no youth that said they feared anything.
Mm,
So me, I look at it so many different aspects. Being the founder of it and loving what I do and loving being around the youth, to hear our youth say that. And we know if our youth are saying it, how many other youth are actually feeling this way and saying this as well, that they are fearless.
mm-hmm,
They are just at that point, they feel like enough is enough. And I can't even express why should we fear anything, or why should we obey or respect anything, because the people that are in leadership, that are in charge, from parents, going on to our teachers, community leaders, they're not doing what they supposed to do. So why should we respect them enough to fear them or fear anyone else?
right, yeah,
So they said they watched so many people come to them and tell them different things for them to find out, no, it was not true, or no, you're elaborating. So I'm at the point, nothing fears me. I know everything. And I know our parents get that a lot. They feel like they know everything, but they're at that point where, like you said, they told us, I don't fear nothing.
mm-hmm,
Should you be feared? I'm not feared.
yeah,
What if you would have went out there where things went on? Well, oh well.
yeah,
That was their
yeah,
focus. We even asked them about if things was to go and things got violent. would there be fear? Where if I'm out there on the front line, I'm out there. So to hear you feel that they have no fear, and knowing that they are our generation and they are our future, and to know that they have that mindset that I can go in whatever and do whatever, which will be great because we want them to use in that aspect to continue to grow as leaders. But when it comes to things like this, it's just expound us what else they're thinking about, saying they have no fear.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, Nigel was just
Definitely.
reiterating what I was saying. That conditioning as a boy,
Hmm.
to suppress your emotions, your feelings,
Definitely.
because men don't cry. It's like what, So that's one of the things too. And another good comment too from Trinity. She said one major thing we have to accept as the adult in the relationship is that our kids are more woke than we think. She
Yes.
continues a racial debate between her minority students and Caucasian students, and so that's one of the things too. Like I was saying earlier,
Yes.
our kids know a whole lot more than
Yes.
we think, and also a whole lot
Hmm.
more too than what we knew. It's important for us to remember how we were when we were their age, but we're in this information age, right? Where
Right.
anything you want to know, I can simply unlock my phone, type it in, right? It's
Social
something,
media.
social media. So they
Yes.
know a whole lot more, and they're a lot more conscious about things than we think. I can remember even my goddaughter going back to when she was 10, 11 years old, and just talking to her about things and just hearing what she says. I'm like, oh, wait, did I think like that when I was 11?
Right. Were
12?
we saying
And-
that?
yes, and some of the, like I said, in some of the discussions we've had, some of the things our young men say at their age is just like, wow, that's
Hmm.
it right there. So that's the important thing, that and also is one of those things where the kid, as we both express, that the youth are saying, I'm not fearful, I'm not afraid. That's one thing I think we need to realize as well, that they can take a lot more than what we think. So
Yes.
having these tough discussions, it's important to do that, because
Hmm.
it's it's something that has to be had.
Yes. Definitely in that part, like you said, it's a must. Like you said, the things that we hear, oh my
Hmm.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely reading up on Nodges as well.
Hmm. Right.
Challenging that, like you said, of the emotions of what is given out and should be, and we should allow and give those emotions to our kids and allow them to express themselves. Like you said, with that fear, we're still on that part of fear, because it leads to one of the questions when we ask our kids about crime. Is it okay for there to be crime within our own community, even though everything is going on? Should we express our own community? And their aspect of, we've been going through so much in our life that now we're boxed in certain communities. Of those boxes are only certain colors in those communities, so we can't help but to have crime with our own community. So that expression is no black on black crime. So don't put us in that stigmatismal box, because you already put us there when you put us in that community.
Hmm. Right.
And no, it's no white on white crime, it's no Asian on Asian crime. It's just certain people in the box and certain people in a community at that time that is relevant to that crime.
Yes,
So
crime.
we're not
Right.
we can't be
Yeah.
stigmatized just by our
Yeah.
community.
Exactly. Crime doesn't have a color. And that's one of the things too.
Hmm.
It goes back to a lot of the misinformation that is fed to our youth, is one of those
Hmm.
things where I often ask the youth when that is mentioned, be it an adult or the youth, it's like, okay, when somebody says black on black crime, it's like, okay, let me ask you something. Have you ever heard of white on white crime? Have you ever heard of Asian on Asian crime, brown on brown crime? And the
Hmm.
answer is always no. And so, if that be the case,
Right.
then it's some thinking that needs to be done. That's something that you have to
Hmm.
sit with and wonder why you think like that. What is it that makes you continue to perpetuate that narrative
Hmm.
of black on black crime? Crime is crime, and it
Hmm.
happens relational in an area, right? Like you said, in communities, right? If there is all white people in the community, crime will happen there. It doesn't have a title, but when it's
Right.
black people, it always has a title. So that's one of the things too, is
Hmm.
dismantling a lot of misinformation and
Yes.
indoctrination that we get and that we receive from early
Hmm.
on. There's the video of young kids at the age of 5 where they sit them down, black, white, they're all kids of different races and different ethnic backgrounds, and they sit them down at the table. They put a doll in front of them. They put a little black doll, put a little white doll, and the experiment is, well, point to the doll that you think is
Right.
good. They point to the white doll. Well, point to the doll that you think, if something was stolen, point to the doll that you think did that. They point to the black doll. So this indoctrination and this stuff starts early. It
Yes.
starts early. So it's important that we highlight and show the excellence, and that, again, that real history. Deep
Hmm.
diving into what your history looks like and where you come
Definitely.
from, because that's important too. Because it's almost that a lot of times with some of the youth, it's that hopelessness. I don't
Hmm.
know what I'm looking forward to because I only know where I come from. I only
Right.
know what home looks like, or I only know in my experience. So that's important too.
Hmm.
uh, Showing youth that it's so much out there that they can achieve.
Yes. And definitely it goes back to, like you said, knowing your history. It's just knowing yourself and having them the opportunity to be taught, to be fed, and understand their history and who they are will help them out in the long runs when they're running across those peers. A lot of our youth, some of them was just have certain ways they respond and think about other races, or certain ways they respond and think about things in their community because what they've been taught or seen by other people. So we're trying to help redirect that part of saying that, okay, everyone is not bad. We want you to actually research, provide yourself with knowledge to understand people and the things that is going on. So that help you out. Because a lot of our kids still, they, even though they're seeing everything that's going on in the news and they're hearing about everything, they're still not knowledgeable of what really is going on. So they have to be fed and know their history. They have to be fed and know what's going on within their community. It is just vivid that we push that into them for them to understand. And at some point in time, not just allowing the social media to feed them, not just allowing the phone to feed them, but guide them to understand this is what's really going on.
Yeah, yeah,
And that
definitely.
includes learning some of their city councils, learning the people that's in their community, learning who's running for office. A lot of our one of the questions was big about people that are in office, the leadership.
Hmm.
Thinking that it's poor or is not working or is not good. But who do they know that are leaders? Do they know their names? Do we know our mayor name? Do we know our city council name? Hey, do you know your neighborhood people in your community? Just learning the aspect and learning who people are, open up their mindset as well, because all they know is what they're entrapped into. And that's what
Hmm.
they feed off of.
Yeah.
And that feed is negative, that's what they're going to push out. And
Right.
then we get the feelings. We get the thoughts that crime is okay because they have yet been fed anything that's positivity that sticks to them. Not that one time talk,
Right.
that ongoing talk.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
don't want just that one talk and then say, hey, I made it okay, we got through this first conversation, but it needs that ongoing talking.
Yeah, and that's, man, that's so important what you just said, and I think that right there could be a game changer. That civic engagement and civic
Mhm.
knowledge at an
Yes.
early age with our teenagers. Knowing your local councilman, councilwoman, the local, because we hear it as adults, right? That it's not so much what's going on in DC, what's going on locally. These people,
Mhm.
who's the district attorney, who's the mayor, who's the governor, who's your
Right.
representative. And that right there, I think if we stress that more with the youth, that is huge, because now
Mhm.
you give someone, not only do they know or have that knowledge, you give them the enough information to make an
Mhm.
informed decision, right? So that civic
Definitely.
engagement, that's huge, because I'm speaking for myself. You learn about the branches of government and all this stuff in school, but they don't
Yeah.
tell you what people do on a local level. They don't tell you what it
The
is, why it's
understanding.
important,
Mhm.
for to pay attention to what office this person is in and who's doing this, who's making the decisions that actually affect
Right.
you. I didn't get that. That was one of the
Mhm.
things where in my adult years that I started learning that stuff. And I
Yes.
think that's one of the big things that we can do also with the youth, getting them to know that information, because
Mhm.
that's really what changes things, and that can help change the future as well. Because
Definitely.
not all of our youth are going to be the next politicians. Not all of our youth going to be the
Mhm.
next, speakers, counselors, or even mentors. So again, if they're doing whatever they're going to do when they grow up, if they know this information now and they don't have to go out and search for it when they're 25, 30 years old, and it's like, oh, I didn't
Definitely.
know that's who controls,
That part of the city or
yeah, I
the
didn't know who
that, yeah.
controls Phoenixon, or I didn't know that's who control, what happens to the
Hmm.
prisons and different things like that on a local level. So that's important, and
Definitely.
I'm glad you said that, because it's like, yes, that right there,
Mhm.
that's big. That if we teach the children that more at a young age.
So yeah, so any councilmen or women that's online or you guys know some, please send them our way. We're always open for speakers to come in and to enlighten and provide knowledge to our kids. So if you guys would love to do that, we will love to. Going forward, that is our main focus, to just empower and educate our kid not only about just Alabama, but the city that they live in, the city that they're going to become leaders in, the city that they're going to help continue to grow. We're going to continue to push and provide them knowledge, but we will love anybody that's in that platform to just come out and speak to them. That is just so important, to be able to see people face to face and know that you care. Because we can do so much with the phone calls and the TVs, but to have someone face to face say, I'm here, here's my number, and here are some things that I want to work with you, means so much more to the youth other than just words. Because they really live off that. Your actions change so much in our youth when you actually show up. So definitely anybody that will love to, we love to talk, as you guys see. So we're definitely love to
Right.
speakers. If needed, definitely with some speakers.
Yeah, definitely. And that's important too. Like you said, it's funny, um, when it's time to vote, politicians, they be on the front row in your church.
Yeah.
But,
Hmm.
but they need to be speaking to these youth groups,
Yes.
to say, hey, this is who I am, this is my
Hmm.
position, and this is what I'm responsible for.
Right.
So, in other words, what I do affects this, that, and this.
Hmm.
So that's big, like you said, putting a face to a name and a position, and now they
Hmm.
understand. It's like, oh, I know, okay, I got it. So I know who I'm looking
Yes.
for. I know who I want to. I know who I want to vote for. I know who I want to back, because this is what they do. They came and
Hmm.
spoke to us, and this is what they, promise to the youth. And so that's another thing too. Like holding your elected officials accountable. It's hard to hold your elected officials accountable when you don't know what to hold them accountable for. It's like, I don't
Hmm.
know what, I don't know what they're for, what they do, and so that's an important thing
Yes,
too.
definitely.
So I think we covered a lot. Was there any other questions, Erica,
No, that
that you
all
wanted
led
to bring
into that.
to
I
the?
was just making sure, but I think yes, as you said, we covered a lot on everything, and definitely ending up with that, as the youth stated, that they want to see more leaders that are in control to come back and talk to them, to provide them with understanding, to provide them with knowledge. Because one of our last questions with our girls were, how do you guys change, or do you guys need to change? And their thoughts are no, we don't need to change. We just continue to go forward with what we're doing, and we're going to see the change that we want to see change, no matter how we go about doing it, right or wrong. So at that standpoint, we need more leaders. We need more people to step up and lead our youth and provide them that opportunity to express themselves, so they can understand from both aspects, as adult aspect, why we're coming to the youth in a certain way, and from the youth saying, hey, my future is bright, I know, but I'm also frustrated, angry, and mad. So how can you help me
Yeah,
at this time in my life?
yeah, definitely. And that was one of the final questions that we posed to the young boys. It's like, what do you want to see from the adults? And
Hmm.
one of them is what we're doing right now. It's more of the discussions. That was one of the feedbacks that we had. And
Hmm.
again, some of the the youngest ones expressed like, hey, encourage people to love one another,
Hmm.
and that we can just get along. So again, it's that wide spectrum of things that we can do. And I think for adults too, is just being that example. And again, giving that voice to the youth,
Yes.
which means listening to what they have to say and what's going
Hmm.
on with them from a day-to-day experience being a
Hmm.
youth. Because it's one thing to be um, it's one thing to be affected by all this, but it's another thing to be a young person growing up in all of this.
Effective,
And
right.
it goes back to what you said about even the class of 2020. It's like, they didn't expect this. They don't
No.
deserve this, and so it's crazy. So again, just continuing to be that voice. And I'm sure we'll do this won't be the last that we do
No,
a
definitely
live
not.
discussion like this. It won't be the last. I'm sure you'll see other faces. But
Hmm.
Eric, you got anything else?
Yeah, definitely like to say it won't be the last. If you guys have any questions, you definitely can drop them below as we're finishing up. But we have more to come. We're so excited about the path and the future that we have for Youth Talk United. We're loving on our kids each and every day. We are loving on our parents. We just want people to know what we're doing, how effective we are, and the impact that we're making. So please, please, on our social media aspects, follow us. It's all Facebook, Instagram, Youth Talk United, LinkedIn, Youth Talk United. Our website is youthtalkunited.org as well. So please, and just even if it's just coming in or sending us an email, giving us feedback about today, some things. And maybe some parents out there did not speak or did not have anything to say now, but would like to know or would like for us to talk to their youth about certain things that are going on. We are open for that. We are here for the community. So we will love to see more people involved and join, and if even volunteers. If you like to volunteer, we are more than welcome to bring more people in to be a positive aspect to our kids.
Definitely. And businesses, corporations, we are always open to donations.
Yes.
We're wanting to do more and more things. So that's one thing too I want to throw out there, that we're always open to that. And again, like Erica said, adults who want to be involved, not only just to volunteer, but if there are some adults that are looking to join a board of a great organization, that's another thing as well.
Mhm.
Erica, I'm sure you're open to that. so
Yes, we're
so yeah,
always open to board members that would like to come in and would like to actually make a strong impact in our kids' life. But not only make an impact, you have to have a heart for our kids.
yeah,
So definitely, if we have the heart for the youth, we are open for more board members to jump on and just give us even greater direction for our kids. Because as I said in the beginning, my kids go up to 18 to both girls and boys, but we also have what is called future leaders, and those are young ladies 18 to 24. So even if you're in that age bracket, we do speak with them. We talk about everything that's going on within their community as it relates to college or just being a young adult. So we make sure all the way up to 24 that we're still impacting and giving back to our kids. Those young ladies come back and actually mentor to the kids as well and speak with them. So we're always looking, as Mike said, for any sponsorship or help in any form or fashion. We are open for it.
definitely.
Mhm.
So I was making sure I'm not missing anything. I was making sure we didn't have any
Okay.
questions or anything coming in. I don't see any, but I'm throwing the website up there on the screen to make sure
Mhm.
that you check out the website so you can see everything that Youth Talk has going on. Again, I'm privileged and blessed to be a part of this board, a part of this great organization. And thank you to Erica, and everybody at Youth Talk. A lot of the board
Yes,
members.
especially our board members. We had a
Yeah,
lot that tagged in. Love you guys. Thank you guys for
yes,
that. For my
thank you.
parents and kids that are you guys was awesome. This organization wouldn't be without the village of all of us. So
Mhm.
definitely thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for everybody who tuned in and the all the feedback. And we will see you on the next go round. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you guys.